Hey everybody, I am David, and today I am going to be talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. That's right, I am going to be talking about a movie. Before this new Power Ranger movie comes out, I decided to talk about one of the older films that came out because, believe it or not, while Power Rangers was in its popularity, the show spawned two films. Um, One did okay in the box office, the other one did terribly in the box office, which I'll probably review next week. I know I promised that I was going to review as many seasons as I can, and I wanted to do Time Force, but unfortunately things got sidetracked with doing other things. But one day I'll get back to those shows. For now, let's talk about the movies before the new film comes out. How do they hold up to this day? I do want to say that this was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I wasn't really I was a kid, I guess, right? I was 13 years old. I was young, but most of my friends had started getting off of the show by that point. By season 3 of the show, I think some people were already jumping off ship. Specifically, the change where Rocky, Adam, and Aisha took over for Jason, Zach, and Trini. This movie already had Rocky, Aisha, and Adam as the red, yellow, and black Rangers taking over for those original three. But Tommy was still there, Kimberly was still there, Billy was still there. I was one of the few people that liked Rocky, Aisha, and Adam more than Jason, Trini, and Zach. So for me, it was all cool. And when I found out about this movie, I was like, yes, I have to see this movie. And my godmother, who was married to my cousin, she was a school teacher. She took me to check out the film, and my brothers obviously as well. And yeah, I really loved the movie back then, and I'm gonna admit this, I still enjoy the movie today. I think it's an enjoyable, guilty pleasure of mine. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun, kick-ass film for kids. It's kind of like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles films of the 90s, where it ain't perfect, but it's fun. It's cheesy, it's cool. It's what you expect from a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie adaptation. Obviously, with a slightly bigger budget, slightly cooler costumes, stuff like that. And the fact that they got the actors from the TV show to be in the movie was actually something really cool that I'm glad they did, because obviously the actors from the show, they might not be the best actors in the world, but kids like myself really like those actors in those roles. So you couldn't really replace them if you're doing a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. Uh, yeah, but something interesting to note that a lot of people might not know, especially older audiences. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie was not connected to the show, even though they used the actors from the show, many of the actors from the show. Even Bulk and Skull were in it, the voice of Rita, Zed, and Goldar all did the voices for the movie versions. This movie is not connected to the show. They actually remade this story to fit the show's continuity in a four-parter called Ninja Quest, which was the beginning of the third season. This movie was also filmed in Australia, so the actors, while they were down there, and because the timing of production timing was taking a little bit longer than expected, because they had to reshoot a lot. Because originally they were going to use their helmets without the visors. If you search it up on Google, you can check that out. That there are actually, you can see the helmets didn't have the visors at first, because the director originally thought, oh, they need to be shown their faces, so the actors can show their expressions. And then sometime after, they realized, this doesn't look right, so we better put the visors back on and the mouthpieces back on. So they reshot a lot of the stuff. There was stuff that they were going to use that they eventually threw into the show. Like there were these giant rat creatures, and they thought, these look so bad. We got to put it in the show. Put it in the show. We're not going to use that crap. So a lot of changes were made. Some for the good. I think for the good, because I think the final product we got was pretty sweet and fun for someone my age at that time. And obviously today I look at it more with nostalgia than I do with an adult mind. Obviously, if I were to view the movie fresh today, I probably wouldn't be that great. Uh, but because I grew up with it, I think I appreciate it a little bit. It's fun seeing the Rangers in a live action movie. And one of the cool things that people don't know is that Paul Freeman, who plays Ivan Ooze, was actually the villain in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He played Balak in that film, in the original film. So I didn't know that when I was younger. I actually thought he was Christopher Lloyd at first. And then as I got older and my knowledge for film started growing, I noticed, oh wait, this guy is Ivan Ooze in the movie. I didn't know that, so that was pretty cool finding that out one day. He's been in a lot of other films too, mostly movies in England because that's where he's from. So yes, I really the character of Ivan Ooze is a good character. He was different from the show. He was never in the TV series. Ivan Ooze was created specifically for the movie, and that's kind of why you didn't see that character in the show, because that was owned by Fox. Well, some things did make themselves into the show. I guess the stuff that Saban had a hand in, like the Tanga Warriors or the ninja suits and stuff like that, but they weren't able to use those ninja suits. So those were some of the changes made, including a character like Delcia, who was the warrior woman that they meet on the planet. In the TV show, they had Ninjor. Both characters are fine. I actually like Delcia. I think she's a good actress in this movie, and she has some nice moments, especially when she's giving the Rangers their ninja powers. She goes by each of them one by one and tells them what their spirit represents and all that, which I really liked. And I like the ninja suits actually in this movie a lot more. The Zords, you can kind of say this was like pre-Transformers. Of course, when you look at it today, the Zords look really bad CGI. It's bad CGI. I'm not gonna defend it. But at the time, I remember being impressed by it because I was a kid. I was 13 years old. I thought that was like, yeah, look at this giant robots, amazing CGI. They look even better than the show. And then as I got older, I saw Transformers, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't look so good. But for what it was worth, it was cool seeing like all of this unfold on the big screen. So much fun. Another thing that I could have left out maybe was this side story with this kid who has his father, and I don't know, he saves the day at the end, sort of, helps the Rangers save the day. That was something that I wish was cut out. I get why they put it in there. It's a kid's movie, and I don't remember thinking too much of it at the time. I mean, I guess it was there to make kids like me pretend we were there with the Rangers. I don't know. But yeah, as an adult, it's like a side story that I want to skip this part. Nobody cares about the kids or Balkan Skull. Okay, Balkan Skull maybe, but the kid aspect, get that out of there. But I understand why it's there. For all it's worth, guys, I give this movie a 7 out of 10 because of nostalgia reasons, maybe. Or just because I think it's a fun, guilty pleasure. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I've seen terrible movies, and movies that I used to like when I was a kid and hate them now. This is not one of those movies. I think it's a harmless film that if you are a fan of the series, you'll appreciate it. If you weren't a fan of the series, were never a fan of the series, maybe this is not for you. But I love the series, and that's why I still enjoy this film. So, if you guys seen Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, tell me what you think. Subscribe to my channel, especially if you are a big superhero fan or a Power Ranger fan, because I love Power Rangers. I grew up with the show since I was a kid, and I've seen a lot of seasons that I will hopefully one day talk about all of them. The ones that's up to RPM maybe, because the ones after RPM I haven't really checked out much. And like this video if you agree with me, and until next time guys, may the power protect you. Take care.